Before Silent Hill F shows up and ruins our sleep schedules because we stay up all night playing it, here is the real story. I'm going to explain what Silent Hill actually is, and then we're going to walk through every single game like we're catching up with a friend who missed the last decade. We're going to go over names, motives, the mess, the endings. Yeah, I'm spoiling literally everything, so grab a drink, settle in, and let's hop in to the full storyline of Silent Hill. We're gonna drop a short version real quick that you kind of need before we start just name dropping everything. Silent Hill is a real town by Toluca Lake with a long and ugly history, disease outbreaks, prisons, disappearances, and a local religious sect called the Order that decided let's birth a god was a normal community project. The land amplifies whatever you bring into it. Strong belief for heavy guilt doesn't just sit in your head here, it leaks out and rearranges rooms, and that's why sometimes the nightmare feels like a cult ritual gone wrong, and sometimes it feels like one person's private mess plastered across every wall. When the world flips into that rusted, wrong version, that's the other world. Think of it as the town dropping the filter. We're going to start with Silent Hill Origins, the night that we kind of accidentally created Cheryl. So we have Travis Grady, he's a trucker just trying to pass through, when a girl runs in front of his headlights. He follows her to a house that's already on fire, and inside he finds Alessa Giuseppe, burned and barely alive. Outside, her mother Dahlia is watching like this was part of a plan. Travis passes out and wakes up in Silent Hill, which is a red flag by itself, and the town starts pushing his personal history in his face. A mother who tried to kill him, a father who didn't survive the fallout, he keeps chasing the girl and keeps running into three people who matter. Dr. Michael Kaufman, who smiles like a favor always costs extra. Lisa Garland, a trainee nurse who deserves better than this town, and Dahlia, who clearly has an agenda. Piece by piece, Travis builds a cult device called the Floros, and when it's assembled, it gives Alessa enough leverage to crack the ritual Dahlia started. And Alessa does something that nobody expects. She splits her soul. Half of her becomes a newborn that gets placed for adoption, and that baby is Cheryl. Travis stumbles out of town and, in the reflection of his truck, catches the last hint. Alessa's spirit is still around, and Dahlia isn't done, which means we aren't done either. Then we go into Silent Hill from 1999, and Harry learns his daughter is two people. 7 years go by, Harry Mason is driving towards Silent Hill with 7-year-old Cheryl for what I can only assume is going to be the worst vacation idea in history. A figure steps into the road, Harry crashes. He wakes up in fog with no Cheryl in sight, and from here on, it's the classic run, right? Midwich Elementary, Alchemia Hospital, the streets that hate you, and the lakeside that looks like fun until it isn't. And along the way, Harry meets Sybil Bennett, a cop from Brahms who actually tries to help, and still kind of shady Lisa, whose kindness is the exact thing this town punishes. And Dahlia, who pretends to help by handing Harry the Floros and nudging him towards her endgame. The truth lands hard. Cheryl and Alessa are the two halves of the same person. Dahlia wants them merged so the god she worships can use Alessa as a vessel. And Sybil gets dragged into the mess and can even be possessed, but Harry can pull her back with a red liquid called Aglafotis, if you know what you're doing with it anyways. Meanwhile, Lisa starts to realize that she's been tied to Alessa's long, secret hospital stay in Kaufman's dirt. It ends where it was always going to. Dahlia completes the ritual, the god manifests through Alessa, Kaufman storms in and splashes Aglafotis on the situation like it's holy water that actually works. And the thing that's kind of pretending to be divine pops out where Harry can fight it, and he wins, the nightmare peels away, and Alessa, who is being used, gives Harry a newborn. Her and Cheryl restarted. He gets out with the baby, and maybe Sybil too if he saved her, writing a sympathy card for, and Lisa's fate hurts to look at. But the important part here is the original cult plan is over, and the timeline moves on with a baby that will matter again. Then we go into Silent Hill 2, where James gets a letter from a dead woman and can't lie anymore. James Sunderland receives a letter from his wife Mary, telling him to meet her in their special place. Mary's dead. He goes anyway because apparently Silent Hill is irresistible to men in denial, and in town he meets Maria, who looks exactly like Mary, but isn't. and Laura, a kid who knew Mary and treats James like he's the last to get the memo. And this isn't the cult show, this town is focused on James, as he follows the trail through Brookhaven, the Historical Society, the prison, and deeper, the truth corners him. Mary was very sick, and James smothered her. The letter was bait, and the punishment follows him around as a figure everyone recognizes. And Pyramid Head until James admits what he did. And once he finally says it, Pyramid Head doesn't have a job anymore and removes himself from the board. Silent Hill 2 does have multiple endings, and the fandom can argue them forever, but the core doesn't change. James killed Mary. Leave lets him accept it and try to live. In Water lets the grief win, and other outcomes exist, including one with a dong that's a meme and a comfort in a franchise that otherwise hates joy. The key is the town doesn't need the order to crush you, sometimes it just needs you. Now we move to Silent Hill 3, where Heather Mason is living her life and a private investigator, Douglas Cartland, starts following her, and when Claudia Wolf steps in and she's here to finish Dahlia's to-do list. If Silent Hill 1 was the setup, and Silent Hill 3 is the bill coming due, and Heather is tied to Alessa. The Order wants to use that to do what Dahlia couldn't. So of course, we bounce from malls to hospital spaces to churches and then back to Lakeside. And if you're keeping score, yeah, Lisa's story still echoes, and yes, Vincent shows up with sermons that sound helpful until you realize he's mostly helping himself. Claudia pushes the plan too far on purpose, and Heather fights it. Aglaophotis is part of the solution yet again, and Claudia forces a birth, and it does not go the way she thinks it will. In the end, the cult's god doesn't win, and Heather, who has been through enough enshrined nonsense for 3 lifetimes, walks away with Douglas, and the Order's immediate scheme dies here, and if anyone brings it back, they will have to start from scratch. Now we've reached Silent Hill 4, where Henry Townshend wakes up in his apartment in South Ashfield Heights, and the door is locked from the inside with heavy chains. No one hears him when he yells, he's trapped until a hole opens in his bathroom, and the story stops pretending it's normal. Henry crawls through and finds connected locations that all thread back to one person, Walter Sullivan, a serial killer raised around cult beliefs who performed the 21 sacraments to turn room 302 into his version of a mother. This isn't Silent Hill proper, and that's kind of the point, right? Whatever the town is, it doesn't stay behind a city limits sign. Walter's crimes, the orphanage, the apartment's history, all of it lets the other world spread into a place where people live in. Henry watches hauntings creep into his home, and his neighbor Eileen Galvin gets pulled into the ritual whether she likes it or not. The endings hinge on how carefully you protect Eileen in the finale, and how well you clean up the hauntings in the apartment. Best case is Walter is stopped, Eileen survives, and room 302 stops acting like a Ouija board with rent. Worst case, it all keeps going. The takeaway's simple, honestly, the infection travels with the story you bring to it. Now we have Silent Hill Homecoming. Alex Shepard comes home to Shepherd's Glen, the sister town started by 4 families who left Silent Hill in the 1850s. Their secret finally spills, and they made a pact for prosperity, and the price was a child from each family for every 50 years. It worked until it didn't. The latest cycle breaks, and the town starts to rot. Alex digs through his family's silence and lands on the truth about his brother Joshua and about himself, which I won't soft pedal because, we want spoilers here. The heroic soldier story Alex tells himself doesn't hold up. The game commits to that in the late game in a way that still stings, and the endings vary, hospital, punishments, and worse. But the constant is that the pact collapses and Shepherd's Glen pays, and Silent Hill logic is contagious when people copy the rules. Now we get to one of my personal favorites, which is Silent Hill Downpour. So we have a prison bus that crashes near Silent Hill, and Murphy Pendleton slips out into a town that already knows too much about him. A cop named Anne Cunningham is hunting for him for reasons that get personal fast. And Murphy's past is a murdered child named Charlie, a corrupt guard named Sewell, and a revenge plan that took everything to the worst place. The town cranks the consequences, and the weather joins in, and when it rains, you're not just wet, you are in trouble. The ending depends on who accepts what and who refuses, but the theme doesn't change, because accountability wins or everybody loses. Now, I think the one we are all the saddest about, which was Silent Hill PT. It was the teaser for the cancelled Silent Hills. You wake up in a hallway that loops and a radio whispers crimes. A presence stands where you don't want to look and you don't fight anything. You notice things and the loop changes when you do, and it ends with a reveal that never got turned into a full game, and even so, it taught half the genre how to scare people with nothing but a corridor, a voice, in your own footsteps. Silent Hill PT to this day is recreated over and over and over again in horror games. So now after all of this, you're probably wondering, where does this leave us for Silent Hill F? We've seen the town work 3 different ways, through a cult forcing a plan on people with Silent Hill 1 and 3, the Pact and Homecoming, and through one person's guilt when there's no cult in sight, like Silent Hill 2 and Downpour, and through obsession that drags the rules into the apartments and hallways far from the lake in Silent Hill 4, and the flip into the other world is just the town dropping the polite version and showing what's underneath. Silent Hill F moves everything to 1960s Japan, which is going to mean new institutes, new social pressure, new history, with the same engine under the hood. We have different uniforms with the same consequences. And now you are finally caught up on the Silent Hill drama with Alessa and Dahlia and James being James, and that is it. That is the full lore run. My hot takes here are at least a deserved better, and Homecoming and Downpour are the most underrated Silent Hill games. If you want to see more like this, I drop new videos every Wednesday. I will see y'all next time. Bye!